The way we played politics in the 90s, the way we played politics in the 2000s, might not be the same dispensation that we have. A lot of things have changed. We have educated our children, given them the best education, exposed them to the effects and forces of globalization, and they are able to see what works in other countries. And they ask themselves why it does not work in this country. We are in an era where, even if you look at the American elections, artificial intelligence has become center, and it can be used for good or bad, for spreading information or for spreading misinformation. We have an event on 8th of August, this week, where we are hearing in the social media spaces that we are going to have the mother of all protests on Nane Nane. And you cannot underestimate it, because if you're using the virality of social media and also artificial intelligence, a lot of young people can be moved, and they can willingly and voluntarily go out on the streets without being sponsored by anybody. So I think we are still playing the old politics, and yet the country has moved. It will take some miracle for the president to regain the confidence of the public. Right now, he's getting confidence because it appears like the minority side is willing to help him get out of the rut. And we are not doing this, for the love of, it's not for the love of an individual. It is for the love of a nation. When Raila Odinga, sat us down and explained that there was need for us to listen and come in and help the government, it was not to help William Ruto, it was to help Kenya. It is about Kenya. Unfortunately, the president sometimes thinks it's about him. And that's why you still have these unending battles between him and the deputy, which are going to sabotage any effort at restoration of Kenya. Because, we come in with good conscience. We have donated some of our best players, and we have said, Oparanya, Joe, Mbadi, and you saw how well Mbadi performed in the interviews. We're saying, go and help Ruto to stabilize Kenya. And then you go in and you find there's another battle that is starting, a regional battle, an ethnic battle, same old politics, and yet the context has changed.
You're saying that it will take a miracle for the government to regain trust of the people. How does that work? Even if you've donated part of your best brains to the government, how does that work in the circumstance that you are in, the challenges that you just enumerated, a lot of laws being rendered unconstitutional, Finance Bill 2024 not available, Finance Act 2023 now in a challenge?
It's going to be tough even for our best players to perform. And one of the most strategic dockets is the National Treasury. Of course, this country, in terms of financial planning and economic planning, we've got the overarching Vision 2030, and we've got the medium-term expenditure frameworks, which are 5-year frameworks. We are on MTEF 4, which was launched by President Ruto, I think, last year or this year. Cabinet Secretary Mbadi's hands are tied, because there's already a planning framework that has already been approved. There's already the Kenya Kwanza approach to economic transformation. You've got David Ndii and some guys sitting somewhere in some shadowy office influencing economic policy and influencing economic plans. And so John Mbadi comes in very well-meaning, very publicly spirited, and thinking that money should go to the right sectors. Already those monies have been committed. The 2024-2025 budget is a done deal, and you can't finance it. We are not sure whether we're going back to the 2022 finance bill. Now, that in itself is going to affect the business terrain of this country, because business thrives on predictability and certainty. Today, you've got a business executive who is not sure what tax he's going to pay, because he's not sure they're going back to the 2022 bill, or we are dealing with the 2024, or we are dealing with the 2023. People are going to run away. Big business fears uncertainty. Big business wants predictability. And it's not just big business, even small business. You should be able to know what you're going to pay in terms of remittances, dues for your employees, what you're going to pay for permits, what you're going to pay to government. So we are in a very shaky situation. Beyond that, Sam, I was talking to a governor from up north, and he told me that the desert locust is back. And we are hoping that it's not going to be as bad as it was a couple of years back. Because that would mean that we'll be moving from those, it will be that cycle, that usual cycle of floods, locust, drought, bumper harvest, flood, you know, that has been the cycle. And every time we are hit with those kind of adverse effects, it is estimated that we are losing about 2 to 3% of our GDP. So our best players are moving into a field that is already rigged against them. Even if you look at Opio and I going into energy, the energy sector, we've got a 2018 energy policy. We've got a lot of PPPs, power purchase agreements, PPAs that have already been negotiated. Right. We've got a lot of structural problems around some of the utility and service providers. You've got global forces that you have to deal with. And that's why I was saying it is going to take more than appointing star players. It's going to take more than getting Messi from ODM to join your team for your team to perform well. Above all, the problem of the Kenya Kwanza regime has been a problem of leadership. And that leadership is the top leadership. With the people from the lake, we say fish rots from the head. When the public is outraged about the cabinet secretaries, as they were, by extension, they're pointing fingers at the presidency. We have a president that is very domineering, and you will find that he has an opinion on every subject matter, even issues that should be dealt with by cabinet secretaries. He has been very articulate on the housing. He has been very articulate on health. He has been very articulate on manufacturing, to an extent that the cabinet secretaries become invisible. If then there's a failure on the part of the cabinet secretaries, it is a failure that must be shared by the presidency. The 2027 election, Sam, is going to be interesting. But we are hoping that on 8th of August, which is this year, this country is not going to break, because you underestimated the anger, right, which led to the invasion of parliament, and which I think I saw Ruku ducking and hiding somewhere.
Oh, you did?
Despite the bravado with which he was defending the vehicle tax. On that day, the bravado went. Because we underestimated the anger. We thought that we could go get away with the impunity, and you know, we have always thought that politics